Hey everybody, JMac here in another video. I got a really good response from the MVP video I did the other day. So I want to make another one because it just so happened that there was another aspect of Shift that I wanted to refine a little bit. One of the new features I've been working on with Shift lately is a Shifty plan, and this is effectively a subscription service for Shift. It's kind of the next evolution. So Shift's goal is for everyone to run the latest version of Laravel, of course. Not only is it in Shift's best interest, but also the Laravel community at large to be running the latest version. It doesn't create a drag on not just Laravel as far as a maintenance perspective, but package authors, even developers moving from project to project. It's just an annoyance to have to switch between writing and remembering a Laravel 5.4 application when the latest version that you're using on another project is 5.8, for example. So the Shifty plan is designed to kind of keep you up to date at all times, always for your projects. And of course, when I came out with the Shifty plan, as with any subscription, I wanted to offer multiple tiers. And those tiers are basically 3 tiers. And kind of the general rule of thumb is that if you kind of have 3 tiers, your goal is that people will it creates a division where people either kind of fall towards the middle one or maybe lean towards the higher one because now there's like relative value, right? So if you just kind of have one plan for $9, relative to what, like, I don't know what generally it would cost. So you kind of see this one repository plan here, and then basically this infinite plan. So it's like, okay, well, it's kind of Goldilocks scenario in the middle here. But while that does work with things like, for example, the base code field guide, where there's multiple packages, where you want like a light kit, a mid kit, and a full kit, and there's varying features that you get, something like this is actually not really the same in the fact that you aren't getting necessarily more or less features as you move up higher, you're getting more repositories. So similar to something like Netflix, for example, Netflix does have a few different plans, but they're not really feature based. They're kind of like, okay, just a one plan, or you kind of get like a shared plan, right? And so I want to adopt a similar model for 2 reasons. One, at the end of the day, there's really just not a discount for this. Two, I've already had some people reach out to me thinking that, oh, well, I've got a one repo plan, but I don't want to add any other repos because I don't really have 5 yet, so I don't want to pay. So what this is actually doing is, in a way, it's creating a situation where it's actually backfiring on me a little bit because they're thinking that they can't upgrade to 2 repositories or 3 repositories, or there's no in between. And then finally, to the point yesterday, or to the point in the earlier video, was it yesterday? Gosh, this week has felt a little long. Anyways, the point of the earlier video was that having this middle tier is also additional work. It's additional code. It's additional functionality that I have to cater for. And let me provide an example of that before we get into the code. If I go to the subscriptions and I look at my subscription, I'm on the one repo plan now, and I can upgrade my subscription, of course. I had to make this very interesting kind of modal here, which honestly is a little bit convoluted. I actually received some other feedback as well. And again, in MVP fashion, you have to be willing to accept some of this feedback. You can't get defensive about it. You can't get annoyed with it because that's kind of the trade-off. I built this somewhat quick modal, which covered the basic features, but maybe is not refined. And I'm okay with that because in the process of, again, hearing this feedback, the combination of people unsure how to get a 2 repository plan and people feeling like the 5 repo plan was too much, not in cost, but just they didn't have enough repos there, led me to realize that my initial thought of providing multiple plans is kind of unnecessary, or at least providing 3 plans. And so, again, to the point of the additional work being created, I kind of have this upgrade, downgrade paths where it's like, okay, if you're the middle plan and you hit upgrade, you have to be able, okay, so already you're on the 5 repo plan. Let's get back to that screen. Now I've got this upgrade, downgrade path. This was a lot of code, and I'll show you in a second. But the nice thing is that if I actually got rid of that middle tier plan, well, then it's either this becomes dramatically less. It's basically I can get rid of this decrease. You're really only increasing your plan or decreasing if it's an option or you're upgrading to the unlimited plan, or you're downgrading to a per repository plan. So that's the refactor I kind of want to make, but that's kind of the MVP approach. And again, maybe there was an opportunity for me to even do a lesser, a more minimal MVP, but the kind of salesy side of me, this middle tier normally is, kind of one of those things in marketing that tends to help and again create that relative pricing. But I realized again, based on user feedback, now I want to iterate. So while this arguably was or was not the MVP, there's a chance to iterate on this now. So again, kind of piggybacking off the video earlier in the week, now it's my chance to iterate. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of this 5 repo plan. I want to strip out everything about it from kind of the code base. And another thing I realized is that I didn't have a lot of tests around that upgrade downgrade path, which again led to some of those user reports I was getting. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip out the extra code of this 5 repo plan. I'm going to make it go away from the system. And then I'm going to backfill some tests. So I may not necessarily share all of that depending on kind of the time. I want to keep some of these videos, 10 or 15 minutes at the most. And so we're kind of already around the 6-minute mark. So let's just play on here for another 5 minutes. We'll rip out some code. So first thing I want to do is I want to check out a new branch. So remove 5 plan, 5 repo plan. So, and I always like to cut a branch. I'm a master feature branch kind of person. So let's bring up the PHP Storm. Even though I might not create a pull request or whatever to actually merge this, I still like doing my work separately because I can push it up to GitHub in this case, review it nice and visually, and go through it that way. So anytime I'm ripping code out, again, especially without tests, I kind of just find a point of entry and I start kind of going for it. So let me close all these things from earlier to avoid confusion. And I know this is called the 5 plan, I believe, or plan 5 is what the name of it is. And actually, I think Friday for the Refactor Friday video, I'm going to clean this up because this is actually a magic string that's going on here. So there'll even be less of these now that we do this. So first things first, on that form, we can actually get rid of this whole path here. We shouldn't need that anymore. So anywhere where there's just this 5 repo, I am just going to pull it out completely. So we don't need this other side. So it's basically if the old plan is this and the new plan is that, then we're going to delete some stuff. So that's interesting. So what is this really saying? So if old plan is plan 1 and the input plan, the plan that you're upgrading to, so this is the update, is plan 5, then you're going to delete the plan repositories. That seems strange. I'm going to put a little note here because this isn't making a lot of sense to me right now. And again, without those tests, I'm a little scared to pull this out. So review this more closely to see if it needs to be adjusted or removed. ... So just, I like to make a little tag there for myself because I don't really know. It wasn't as clean as I thought to get rid of that. So this is the cedar, so that can go away. No price point there, totally fine. Let's keep going. Plan 5 here to add a plan. Run continual shifts. So this is on the actual screen, so we can get rid of that now. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up this. So I don't want to increase the panel. I actually just want to offset it. So I think we could do something like call offset. Looks like SM offset. I'm just going to offset it to center those. And let's just see what this looks like. I'm still using Bootstrap. This is good with me. I want to switch to Tailwind. But again, MVP, other features to do. I'm not there just yet. But hey, maybe there's a future shift that converts Bootstrap to Tailwind. Who knows? And then just real quick, I'm going to come back and address this as well. But I'm going to change that to just per repository. So there's a little bit of demarcation now. Again, a little guidance going back to the responses that I've gotten already. There's a little guidance now of like, okay, look, per repository, it's $9 a month per repository. So I don't have to say like per month per repository there. So, and then we've got the unlimited repositories for $99 a month. So So you're already getting a hint that, hey, per repository, as many as you want until it makes sense to basically, you know, I guess as far from a monetary perspective, until it makes more sense to just go unlimited. So basically when you get to 10 or 11 projects, you can go switch. So that should take care of that. That looks pretty good. Let's make sure this looks okay on mobile. Yeah, it just goes away on small, so that's totally fine. Okay, great. And then I think there was one more instance. No, there's not. So the only thing that's left is this. So really what I'd like to focus on now is where am I as far as, well, first of all, time. So we're right at the 10-minute mark. Let's just see what kind of tests I have. And I may not write them as part of this video. I definitely emphasize testing a little bit more in some of those Refactor Friday videos. So if you're interested in those, check out some of the earlier ones. I definitely try to either add test or even TDD new features. But let's just kind of see the state of the tests for this. So let me just bring up the project window and let's check out tests. And again, I need to clean these up because some are considered units, some are, actual service here. So there is a subscription test. So we have all this user immediately cancels plan. So there's some stuff here around canceling a plan, but it doesn't seem like I have stuff around upgrading a plan. There's also some plan repository stuff. That's a different section. Let's just see if I call this subscription controller update anywhere. So let's just do that. Let's do subscriptions.update. So yeah, so not in my test, not anywhere am I referencing these routes. And I know, again, conventionally that when I am writing these feature tests, I do my best to try to hit that particular endpoint. So again, if there is some kind of put, or patch, I don't even see that, happening here in any of these tests, at least not. So there's a plan repository test, but again, not seeing the subscription endpoint being hit. So it does not appear that I have tests for these. So now that I've whittled it back down, I'm going to go in and test the removal of these additional pieces. So for example, this is fine because it's pretty straightforward as far as visually it's looking right. And to that point, I don't spend a lot of time testing views. I test that the views receive the correct data and so forth, but you're going to know, in my opinion, pretty quickly if a view is not appearing correctly. So anyways, let's go to upgrade subscription. And so now I already have this upgrade or downgrade path. So there's going to need to be a little bit of logic that happens here. And again, I'm now going to not only backfill test, but drive the new behavior of this modal. And specifically in the case where for those few people that are on the 5 repo plan, how do I kind of grandfather them in and manage that situation? So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed this video, another MVP approach. Again, if you're more interested in the code side of things, definitely check out the Refactor Friday playlist. I try to add videos to that every Friday, most of which I try to do with a live stream, so you can send in your questions or so forth. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed another kind of real-world example of kind of practicing MVP, how I could have probably made this not only more minimal to start with, but more importantly, how I accepted that this was made minimally. And now that I'm getting some user feedback, now that I'm getting some subscribers, to iterate on this approach and not take it personally, not get stuck, not be like, well, just upgrade, it's cheaper. You can't be that way. You have to, again, it's a give and a take. You have to be willing to kind of take your side of the accountability here and the fact that, well, yeah, I pushed this out pretty quick. Sorry that was unclear. I'm actually making some changes. And here they are. So here are the changes. Feel free to respond in the comments. Please let me know that you like these, or message me, of course, on Twitter @GoneDark. And again, hopefully I'll be kicking out some more of these. We'll get deeper in the code in the future. But again, I want to keep these short. And since we're kind of at the 15-minute marker, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. So thanks again. Hope you enjoyed.